All right. Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
I'm Jesse.
And I'm Casey.
Hey, welcome back, Casey. Nice to have you.
I'm excited to be back.
Yes.
Excellent.
I think we're both excited to have you back here.
We are, truly.
And so I think we have another fun episode here ahead of us. We have the Macallan 12 as our Scotch, the sherry cask.
Definitely going to be fun.
It's a pretty box there. Kind of like the nice black box.
That's right.
And then we got our normal shout outs, our restaurant review, which could be interesting. I'm not sure how everyone else feels about it, but I know how I feel about it.
There could be some heat on this one. It's a good thing there's a sweet Scotch to go with it.
And then there's our topic, which has to do with I was about to say Nosferatu. Thanks you for dinner. So Nostradamus and Baba Vanga and I guess the supercomputer that does predictions for the future.
Scotch Reviewed.
The Macallan 12yr sherry cask. And, man, nothing but greatness in this bottle, I am sure. Like with others, handsome box, definitely one you could bring to a formal event, a black tie event. Not afraid to show this one off. Macallan always does. And I don't think I've ever seen an ugly Macallan bottle. Macallan always does a nice job with their bottle presentation, the label, the unmistakable upside down triangle where they lay their age, if you will, or which particular Scotch it is. That's what makes it so easy to
spot.
And
the hologram. Don't forget the hologram, man.
Yeah, the hologram, so you know it's not fake. But, this upside down triangle here, that's what makes it very easy to spot in some of the James Bond, Daniel Craig films.
Yeah, and so, like, if I remember correctly from our James Bond episode, it was the Sherry Cask 15-year, and that was actually the one I was looking for, but I couldn't find it anywhere.
That's not a surprise to me. It's... for sure, it's been hard to find many great Scotches as of late.
I would agree with that. So supply chain issues there.
Thanks a lot, Biden.
All right. So anything else you know about the 12 here?
Yeah, first he stops the gas pipes, and now he's stopping the liquor. Right? There is definitely a problem in America right now. So, the Macallan, we've talked about it in multiple episodes. We have our Thanksgiving special.
The Thanksgiving one has probably the most extended kind of like history of Macallan.
That is the one to watch if you want the full history on the Macallan. But it is a Highland single malt Scotch whiskey. Again, this one done with sherry casks, 12 years.
What's the percentage on this one?
Oh man, it is sitting at a 43%.
43%. It seems like they're pretty consistent with that 43.
Yeah.
And it looks like it has a nice color from the bottle, but I can't really.
Yeah, no, it's definitely got nice color. The bottle is a clear glass. Some of our previous experiences with the Macallan, I think my favorite is still the edition number 6. However, man, I literally have not tasted a bad Macallan.
Neither have I.
All right.
Casey, you said you tried a Macallan before, right?
The only one I've tried is the double cask, like the dark blue 12-year one. I was a fan. I guess that was kind of before I started drinking Scotch, so I couldn't really tell you any more thoughts besides, oh yeah, it was good.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and have you open this bad boy up.
Yeah, if I can. It's this holographic label making it more difficult. There we go. Every walrus likes a tight seal.
I'm sure Brian would have liked hearing that squeaking there. Cindy made the comment last week.
Hey, where's my squeak?
Yeah.
Where's my marble cake? Well, Casey made him one. I mean, it even just sounds great pouring.
Yeah. And it even has a great smell to it just from the get-go. All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll go as we look and review our Scotch here. We'll go ahead.
He's gonna need more.
I will need more probably. But we'll go ahead and we'll cut here. We'll do our reviews and we'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Okay. So we just got done doing tasting and taking down our notes here. So Jesse, why don't you go ahead and I guess, drop the knowledge on us.
All right. So for me, and we have had the Mcallen varietal several times, so not to give it or not give it any due credit. It's been around since 1824. They've changed ownership multiple times in there, had some controversy, but at the end of the day, I can't argue that they make a superb product, and I've enjoyed every one that I've tried in the last several years. So with the Macallan Sherry 12-year color, very deep gold, a little brass in there for me. On the nose, I am getting the Oloroso cask. That's what I get, and a little bit of vanilla, which I don't taste the vanilla, but I get it on the nose. Those casks, though, from Jerez, Spain, the Oloroso sherry casks, I am definitely getting that sherry cask smell on the palate. For me, it's quite a delight because it's smooth. Super smooth. This is like the Jay-Z of Scotch. It's just cool. It's smooth, and a little bit, again, with that, it comes in manageable. It's not too hot. It's not boring. And then it carries forward. When it does start, for me, it's a little creamy. Again, I got the vanilla on the nose, but not on the palate. But definitely that cream. And then it finishes up with a little bit of spice that I am going to attach to the oak. Once again, the finish for me is long and delightful, and definitely one I would recommend.
All right.
So I got to be real. I don't really have that refined of a palate, as you guys know. But from my perspective, it's just overall a really smooth, really delicate, really soft. There's nothing that really kind of like assaults you in the mouth with any particular flavor, but it does just have that really smooth kind of sweet finish, which is, I guess, the flavor that I do like. It just smells really, again, like smooth and subtle. You do definitely pick up that kind of like muted caramel, I would say, like a little bit creamy, nothing too intense, but overall, I'm a pretty big fan.
All right. So it's like Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal before he became a criminal.
Smooth Criminal. All right. Anything else that either one of you guys want?
No, you're up.
So for me, I put in my notes here, it has a nice amber color, but I guess you can put like a light brassy tone because it's darker than some of the other ones that we've seen on our show here. Not as quite of a deep brassy color as the Macallan number 6. What I will say though is the Macallan here, they have 3 different 12s that we've tried now. We've tried the double cask, we've tried the triple cask, and now we try the sherry cask. And each one of them are very distinctly different, but also very good. All 3 of them are very well done. And this particular one here, when I smell the bouquet of it, or you smell it and stuff, I get a lot of, like you, I get the vanilla on there, but I also get some floral tones to it, along with, you can definitely smell the sherry cask as well, and some tropical fruit. Mild tropical fruit there. And I think that's where you get some like that sweetness smell coming in. When it comes to the palate, from the front to mid to back palate, it's very light bodied. It's pretty well balanced. You're not getting like, I think kind of like what you said, there's nothing, you said like there's nothing offensive to it, or nothing?
Like nothing assaulting you.
Nothing assaulting you. So I agree with that. There's like really no big pops. There's no peaks, no valleys. Really, it's really smooth and well balanced all the way through, and I really enjoyed it. And with that, I do get like kind of like a sweet marmalade flavor on the palate there. And on my finish, here I'm a little bit conflicted because on my first couple of sips, it seemed like it had a lingering spice to it. But then on some of my like later sips I had, like while you two were giving your assessments, it seemed to have like a little bit of a sweeter finish too. So I think it's kind of like maybe like a sweet spice, maybe, if you will, on the finish. And it does tend to like linger a little bit, which is kind of nice because, as Brian pointed out last week, right? It's not a drink where you just like sit there and you slam it and you have to keep drinking it. You can sit there and enjoy it, and it lingers for a while before you take a next sip.
Yeah, as it's sitting here aging, I agree with you. The finish gets more and more creamy the longer I
Yes.
sip it, and I'm loving it. I'm digging it. Suddenly I look back and I think of a sherry cask Scotch that M is drinking or James Bond, and it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a very good. It's like you said, it's a very good, well balanced, light bodied Scotch, and I can only imagine what the 15 tastes like. Because if this is how the 12 tastes like, James Bond has it going on with the 15
Or
here.
the 18.
Or the 18, yeah.
And it wasn't James Bond in that particular episode because he was actually drinking Judi Dench's Scotch, or she played M.
So M Scotch.
He didn't even buy it. But what he was drinking was the Caribbean cask, I believe, while he was at the bar playing with the Scorpions.
Okay. So, anyways, I would give this a very high rating. I think people, as you said, you can take it to, most kind of affairs.
It's delightful.
Yeah.
It's refined. It's not abrasive, but it's still got a body. Smooth.
Yeah, smooth.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's pretty much what I have for this one. I think we kind of kept this one short and sweet. Brian didn't derail us at all.
Short and sweet, just like the flavor,
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn you, Brian. Last week, 24 minutes Scotch review after we edited out the other 24 minutes.
It's time for our shout-outs.
All right, I'll go first. My shout-outs this week will go to my team at work and just all of the hard work they did this past couple of weeks, actually, but particularly with last week. King Soopers went on strike. Well, that created an fluctuation, a dramatic change in the workload for me and my team, and they managed to meet the numbers in every area that I think could be expected. So, hey, you guys did amazing. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Cheers to you guys.
This week, I'd like to give my shout out to my little ragtag group of friends. Even though that we haven't really been able to hang out as much due to just life and being busy, it's always great being able to hang out with you guys. You're always so positive, so full of energy, tons of fun, and definitely made my weekend just getting to spend time with you all.
I'll give a shout out to a friend of mine out in Salt Lake. She had a pretty bad breakup where her ex kind of threw some definite curveballs at her, but she seems to be doing pretty well and keeping her heads up and making it through there. So I just figure that's, a good shout out to say, hey, just stay positive and don't let that person steal away your greatness or anything like that. So yeah, I think for everybody though, I think it's kind of a good, good thing to not allow anyone steal your happiness, don't let anyone steal your greatness. Definitely believe in yourself, just know how true and great how everybody has to just understand how great they are and have that confidence in themselves and not allow other people to steal their greatness or their happiness or anything like that. Because if you do that, if you allow other people to live in your mind, you're never going to be able to achieve some of the greatness that you can in life.
Yeah, man. It's one of the things Frank Castle teaches us.
Yeah, exactly.
Steal your happiness? No. Revenge.
I'll kill that. Beep, beep, beep. All right.
Mission accomplished. Now what?
Restaurant Review.
I picked out a restaurant called Mr. Ramen because here's the thing. I've been hearing and seeing a lot of things about, and even when you drive around places, there's all these ramen shops that are popping up all over the place. So it's become super trendy. And I really am not impressed with at least the one that we went to called Mr. Ramen here right down the road here in Parker off of Jordan Road. Yep. And to me, I I find that these ramen shops to be very super trendy and overly priced. I found that it's like someone cooks angel hair pasta, gets some beef broth, puts it in there, puts a half cooked egg, and charges you like $20. So honestly, I kind of feel like I should have just gone to the grocery store, bought one of those 69-cent packets of ramen, got some like shaved beef, cooked it up myself, and had someone kick me in the nuts, and still $20 out of my wallet.
He paid $20 to have someone kick him in the nuts. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Then you paid me $20. I'll kick you in the nuts, you know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we won't go there tonight, but
$20, man. I'll do it for 10.
But honestly, like, if I'm gonna go get some kind of like Asian soup type of thing, I'd rather just stick with like pho or something like that. And I'm not saying like the place, but like the place looks pretty nice on the inside. I think like the tables look better than what they actually are, because I think they seem kind of small, and like their chairs are kind of not very comfortable. At least not for me, it was. I don't know, maybe for either one of you two. But although I will say I did like the appetizer, which was the jalapeno bomb. Now if you do like these ramen restaurants, I'm sure it's a decent place, but honestly, I was not very impressed. That was just an overpriced thing, and honestly, it's one of those places where I kind of regret going to, and I've gone there twice now. I went there once to scope it out, and another time to do it for our actual podcast, and I'll say I came walking away both times being not very impressed, and really felt like I should just gone to the store and made my own ramen with the 69-cent thing, or however much ramen costs nowadays.
$20 to get kicked in the balls and $10 to do it a second time.
So that's kind of like my review of the place.
There are people who make a living doing that, apparently, by the way.
Yeah, jackass.
No, I'm talking about a higher level individual that gets paid a lot more for.
Do they have what was it?
Or whips and chains.
What's the word called? You have like some kind of safety word or something like that?
No, there's no safety word. That's a lie.
Do you remember that movie Euro Trip?
Yes, that was a great movie, and we're going to proceed on with the show. So my review of Mr. Ramen was much like Noah's, although I only needed it once. I don't think I'll be going back. And not that any of it was bad. It just wasn't for me. And I had the Mr. Ramen dish, so I had some shrimp in there, some scallops, a delightful array of meats and vegetables in my ramen. However, I did not finish it. I didn't even like dive to the bottom of the bowl. And that to me is a good sign of this is not something I'd ever go back to. It was a good experience to experience once and not experience again for me. The jalapeno bombs, as Noah said, they were a surprise, man. We started with that and I was like, man, I got hope. And then no more hope. But they do have a small liquor list. If you're interested, they do have a few beers. They had 3 on tap, a handful of wines, a couple other little options, including a few mixed drinks, none of which really sounded that interesting to me.
Oh, one of the drinks they have there, which I did try on my first visit, was this like peach drink where they put CBD oil in it.
And that is Noah in a nutshell.
Doesn't get you high, CBD oil?
I'm just saying.
I don't know. It just sounds more like some trendy nonsense, you know?
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Damn millennials and their CBD oil. Noah's young. You got to understand that. So, yeah, for me, the food was... And if I'm putting it out there and comparing it to the closest thing I can come up with other dishes, it was a 6. I have actually had a superstar ramen before that was amazing. And
I don't believe you.
Yeah, we might have to go there. That might be the restaurant that blows your mind, but I'm not going to Denver until they lift off some of their more ridiculous mandates. So for me, the food was a 6. The atmosphere, because of the tables, much like Noah said, these were kiddie tables. These weren't adult tables. So for me, the The atmosphere, not that it was bad, it just wasn't good. So that was a 7. Is it first date worthy? For me, it would not be first date worthy. Is it going to get food with a friend? No, it wasn't a fun atmosphere. It was discombobulated. It didn't make a ton of sense to me. Again, I'm glad I had the experience, but overall, the score would be a 7, and that is just because of the total experience.
Wow, 7? That's kind of high. I mean, that's fine. That's your call. I mean, I probably give it more like a 5.
Dude, it's not that it was bad.
Honestly, I'd rather go to Taco Bell.
I don't have a ton to compare it to.
I mean, I honestly would rather go to Taco Bell or McDonald's, and I don't even eat at McDonald's.
Oh man,
That's rough.
and you'd still give it a 5.
Well, yeah, I guess that's debatable too. But
the service was good. That was their one, like, hey, you got a 9 for service, for being attentive but not overbearing, taking care of us. But that was their only win. That's the only thing that brought it up to a 7. Otherwise, it would have been a 6 for me.
All right, so I've never been to like a real ramen place before, so the only thing I can compare it to is, you know, some 29-cent ramen, but gotta be real, I'm quite the connoisseur of that, so that's gonna be my baseline. Overall, I don't really know how I feel about the food. Going in, it was kind of already an uphill battle for this place because I don't really like soups because I don't like all the foods, you know, it's mixing together like that. Not a huge fan of it. Overall, it had a bunch of stuff in the soup, and I had to Google every single thing that was in it, to be honest. I don't know, there was like a little thing of pork that was pretty good. There was like half an egg in it. I wasn't a fan of the egg texture. It was kind of weird, kind of rubbery, a little bit upsetting, gonna be honest. And then I know Jesse kind of touched on this, but the atmosphere was also a little weird. It's like you go in through the door. On the right side, it's really modern, really trendy and cool. But then on the left side is these weird like wooden benches that kind of made me feel like I was going camping. You know, not a huge outdoors person. But I guess overall, I don't know. I definitely have to agree with Noah that I would rather go to like a pho place. I think pho is significantly better than my experience there at Mr. Ramen. I guess overall maybe like a 4 or 5. I think if that is something like the kind of food that you would enjoy, maybe you'd like it. But I guess for me, it's just an uphill battle all the way. So I'm kind of biased.
I agree with your assessment. And I like soups.
Smarter challenges.
All right, so
Do you have a voice where you want to say smarter challenging?
I guess, I don't know, I'm a zoomer, like, ooh, smarter challenge. Ooh. Oh, yeah.
That's pretty good. We need to up our game, Noah.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so the topic was
Not Nosferatu, that's for sure.
no, but since you did watch a little bit of Nosferatu, did you watch the old black and white version?
Yeah, I was only half watching
by,
it.
F.A. Monow, I
The
think?
1922 version with Max Schreck in it.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's actually a real life vampire.
Well, that's what some people believe. Yeah, because it is a totally classic vampire movie. F.A. Monow does a really great job, and they even made like another movie about that movie called Shadow of the Vampire.
Oh,
which William Dafoe plays Max Schreck.
William Dafoe is a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, but anyways, what did you think about Nosferatu? Even though that's not our subject.
I mean, I only got halfway through until I realized I wasn't even doing the right thing.
Conspiracy here. This guy's a vampire.
Yeah, I was like, wait, are we talking about the soundtrack? Are we talking about the fact that this guy's a vampire? Like, okay, like whatever. Overall it was interesting. I've never watched like a silent film before. I think the oldest film I've ever watched was Casablanca.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah, I was a fan of that one. I don't know. Overall, I'd be down to actually like sit down and try to watch it because I was kind of I was in like the second floor lounge of my college, just kind of like watching it, but trying to like tune out all of the craziness that was going on around me. So
another, if you kind of like get into that one a little bit as far as like being a silent movie, a good silent movie might be Metropolis to see. So Metropolis is a great silent movie that has to do like it kind of attack society and the industrial society and how people are kind of like drones or slaves. So that might be another good one to check out if you want a silent movie to check out.
For sure. I was also kind of ruined by that SpongeBob episode, like the hash slinging slasher, where at the end it ends up being Nosferatu. And that I'm not that like culturally aware, so I didn't know that there was like history behind that. I thought it was just kind of like, oh wow, look, Nosferatu's, turn on the lights. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and Monow, I don't know if you knew this too about Monow, but he couldn't get the rights to Bram Stoker's to actually film it as Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I didn't know
because the family wouldn't allow him to use the name, and so that's the reason why they named it Nosferatu and went that route. But it's basically the same story.
Maybe we'll have to do an episode about Nosferatu.
Maybe. All right. So the actual topic was about Nostradamus and predicting some future events, as well as Baba Vanga. I'd like to call her Baba Vaga or something like that. But anyways, I think it's Vanga, right? Vanga. And then there's like a supercomputer. I think there's actually a couple of them out there. One of them is at the University of Illinois called Nautilus.
And the others in Tennessee. Yeah,
there's another one in Tennessee, and there's also one at MIT. I don't know. Where do we want to begin with this?
Oh, man, dive in. Tell us what you got.
All right. I guess talking about predictions.
Maybe we should preface, part of this is, where are these individuals or computers right and wrong? Where have they been right or wrong? What's factual? What's conspiracy? That's kind of why we chose this topic.
Yeah. So they're like, I remember growing up, looking at, learning about Nostradamus. I remember one time I got like super freaked out because like I was like, I don't know, maybe like 6, 7 years old, maybe younger. And my parents were watching a special on HBO about Nostradamus. And the part that freaked me out is because he had predicted like one of the last wars of the world would be fought in the Arab countries on horseback. And I think the part that freaked me out was like, he talked about how people are going to start eating other people because there will be no food and it'll just be like a ton of famine and stuff like that. And but there's been like a lot of other predictions out there, like Hitler and some other stuff that he has gotten right. But at the same time, he's gotten a few of them wrong. And I think it was probably 4 or 5 years ago, there was supposed to be like another major one that they suspected that was going to be true, but it didn't happen. I think that's where he kind of fell off after that point. Because now it seems like anytime I do any research, I find his information on these like weird like alien hunters or like UFO searchers or conspiracy sites instead of like having like actual like real sites talking about them through like a historical site or something. And I think those sites kind of take away from some of the stuff that he did accomplish.
Yeah.
So he is a French physician. And he was, I guess in this particular packet of information I have here, they don't really know what day he was born on. It says born on the 14th or 21st of December of 1503. And, so it did say that he did predict the stuff like, the 9/11 terrorist acts. But this particular set of information here I pulled out are the top 8 predictions for 2022. So I guess we could I can mention each one of these and we can briefly talk about what we think. I don't know. How do you guys want to approach this?
I love it.
All right. So top 8 Nostradamus predictions for 2022. The first one is asteroid shower will destroy the Earth.
So this is the one of all I can tell you already that you're going to mention that is something I think he's closest to and that I believe. And the reason for that is if you look when the previous president went into position, Trump, he actually created a new branch of the military about space. And the entire purpose of the space wasn't just fending off aliens, but it was actually what would we do in case there ever was an asteroid, much like in the movie Armageddon with Bruce Willis that was approaching Earth. How would we fend that off? off. That is the one that I think is the most likely. That is real. And I love, I'm going to give a shout out to Trump for starting that branch of the military to actually take an action to possibly save us, because we have Halley's Comet and all these asteroids flying by the Earth at all the time. We have proof in our lineage, in our history, that previous asteroids were world enders to the dinosaurs and others. That's, I think, is real.
Yeah, and he says this is going to probably happen, or according to this, he also claimed Earth will be smashed by solar storms and a huge comet to top off the year around Christmas time.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I don't know. I guess I think for me in general with a lot of these end of the world predictions is that they are kind of vague, similar to horoscopes. And I think it's important to make the differentiation between the end of the actual planet, the planet itself is going to die, versus the end of our modern civilization and our kind of world as we know it right now.
Yeah, and I think here it also says there's going to be one of the things he talks about with this asteroid shower is it'll hit they'll fall into the ocean and cause huge tsunamis. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it'd actually be the end of the Earth you're talking about.
I was just gonna say, oh my God, they were right. The water level raised.
I think that's global warming. I don't know if that's asteroids.
It was the asteroids. They came in hot.
So I mean, there is that possibility, I guess, of obviously. We've had like Jesse mentioned, we've had asteroids hit the Earth before, and they've caused either huge craters in the land portion, and I can see if it hit the ocean, it would cause a huge tsunami. Which oddly enough, in that old HBO documentary, they talked about a huge tsunami coming in and wiping out New York and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess it's time to introduce a new conspiracy. Maybe a 9/11 was actually an asteroid, right?
Maybe.
Insert plane here.
All right. So are we pretty good with that first one there?
That's the one I think that has the highest potential. I think that whether or not it is 2022 or not, it's happened in the past, and history is doomed to repeat itself unless you take action.
I actually think the next one might be a little bit more... might happen actually in 2022, or has a greater probability. The death of North Korean's Kim Jong-un. So I'm not sure how much you guys have seen in the news and stuff, but he's been supposedly really ill lately.
He's been ill for a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, what's the exact wording? Because I doubt he actually specifically named him.
So it says here in the 14 quatrain of Centuria 4, Nostradamus predicts the demise of the North Korean leader. According to the astrologers who analyzed his prophecies, the sudden death of the first character will bring about change and may place another character in the kingdom, he predicted. So according to the interpreters of the prophecies, Nostradamus may have predicted the death of North Korean Kim Jong-un.
So it wasn't that particular individual, but just whoever was going to be the leader. Yeah, see, that's one of those ones that's so vague that I have a hard time believing in it because, you could say that. I mean, the same thing could be true for America.
Same thing could be true for. I mean, look at Biden. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If you ever listen to that guy talk,
he's struggling. He's struggling.
He is struggling. He's struggling hard. I don't think he knows what he's talking about half the time.
I mean, neither do I, but
Yeah, I don't think anyone does.
His son was a surgeon, and his dad was a surgeon, and his son was a war veteran, and his dad was a war veteran. And
then after he gets done talking, you see him walking around in circles behind, with his mask hanging off his ear and stuff. All right, so the other ones here we have are a huge nuclear bomb in 2022, the fall of the European Union, which seems pretty probable to me.
I mean, are you a believer that Russia's going to invade Ukraine or not? I think it is going to happen. That is,
I don't think that will happen.
So that's what would cause that.
We also have there's a climate war in 2022, a big earthquake in Japan. This one seems a little bit in Japan or America.
I think.
Yeah, and then there's that says huge immigration and the U.S. dollar will collapse. The U.S. dollar
is definitely collapsing.
That is definitely collapsing. So I think there's some probabilities on those ones. So I guess those are kind of the 8 there. If you guys want to look at them, If we want to talk about any of those, we can.
I mean, I think those all kind of encompass this other one where he says, like, the tranquility is destined for a great disruption. It'll be for the Americas and Lombardians, pain, and for the religious plague in confinement when Mercury shall be diminished by the rings of Saturn. Like, a lot of people kind of concluded that is predicting, like, this COVID-19 pandemic. I think that's kind of, like, I think you can take all of those and kind of encompass it back into this overarching idea of the plandemic, I guess, if you want to call it that.
It is definitely a plandemic.
Oh, yeah.
It's all like, is it really about health? No, it's about control.
Oh, yeah.
And I think when you talk about like famine and all that other stuff,
with like the empty shelves in the stores.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's because of all the, like, his policies, like the policies that have been put in place that's caused like the famines and stuff, shortages occur. Anyways, what are you gonna say?
Nah, it all started with Biden shutting down that pipeline. There goes the oil prices skyrocketing, and everything else is continued.
Yes,
but it's a good thing that he wants all electrical vehicles, since we don't have the electrical output to support that. Seems like a really good idea.
It seems like a really good idea. Shaking his head. No.
I'm all for it. I am all for clean energy. I'm all for electric vehicles. Let's have a backbone before we try holding up a body.
So anything else that we want to say about Nostradamus?
Like, I think the first one was the one I would put some weight into. The rest of those, unless Russia truly invades Ukraine, the rest of those I don't think are as likely, or are very just loose stool.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I don't know. Do you know anything about what's going on with the Ukraine?
Not a ton, honestly.
Okay. So
Noah and I go back and forth. What's going on is Russia has threatened over the course of some time now, not just months, but longer, to invade the Ukraine. At one point in time, Russia and the Ukraine were part of one powerful nation, if you will. Ukraine eventually broke off, and Russia, since, particularly with Putin, no longer holds that property or power. And one of Putin's first and most powerful comments he's made that I am aware of is that was the biggest disappointment in his nation's history, was losing the Ukraine.
And I'm on the other side of the fence where Biden is trying to posture himself, or the U.S. to make it seem like we'll defend the Ukraine, but really some of his actions and some of the things he's basically said that he's not going to, and not in so many words, but he's basically said he's not going to give the backing towards Ukraine, and none of the other European countries will go to war against Russia without the United States. And so he said, Biden's words or something like it was going to be like an incursion, and that they won't do anything about it. So if it's an incursion and the U.S. is not going to do anything about it, the rest of the European Union won't go to battle against Russia. So what will probably happen is Russia probably will go into the Ukraine, and it'll just be a easy transition of power, and there won't be any war to worry about.
Dude, anytime you're taking it over, you went to war and you won it. Unlike America running out of Afghanistan.
That's basically what's going to happen here.
Right. But so you agree that there is at least a war and a takeover.
I would say there's a takeover. I don't really say it's a war, because if you're not going to fight for it, it's not really a war. You're just like, okay, I give up. Bye.
They're not going to give it up that easily. There is going to be a war, but the difference is that, our current administration has left America weak, and I am scared for my children and for America that doesn't realize that what they voted into office has made us docile to the rest of the world. We are no longer erect. We are no longer a threat. We are.
Well, I think it's just more the same continuation of the Obama era. But
yeah, again, I'm going to go back to, I am all for electric vehicles. This is what you want. I'm all for electric vehicles, but you don't have the backbone. You don't have the infrastructure or the electric capability to support that, to the point where states like California can't supply enough electricity at peak times to cars.
You gotta be careful. We're gonna start going down some bad avenues here.
We're not in California. We're doing the right avenues.
Did you want to chime in on anything on this? Or should we move on to Baba
I mean, I
Vanga?
guess, like, out of all those points, I think the Europe falling apart and then the value of the US dollar going down. I think those are the two most likely. I think right now in Europe, there's a lot of civil unrest with a lot of the mandates going on.
Mhm.
I know recently, I think it was Britain, the UK, that just very recently lifted all of their mandates. And I think that some of the other countries, if they don't start doing that, that's just going to cause like a lot of issues going forward. And that will inevitably start to like crumble their own society that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I think because I think you're starting to see a lot of economies starting to collapse, the currency wise. So seeing the collapse of the U.S. dollar is pretty imminent, and also it kind of helps that the head of the Federal Reserve said it's time to start looking at doing CBDCs and moving away from the dollar. So.
Crypto, boys and girls.
Crypto. All right. Baba Vanga. So she's what, an old Bosnian lady? Is that where she's from?
Show the world her picture. You see this lady.
Oh man, that's what I look like in the morning.
You see this lady. You are just gonna be like, yes, ma'am, and run.
So apparently, like, I guess from what I saw before, she was like, if I remember correctly, she was like a young lady. Young girl, whatever, had something happened to her eyes, like I think a bunch of sand or something got in her eyes, and she lost her sight, but then she gained sight, right?
That's one story.
I mean, did you hear something different?
Nah,
okay. I don't know.
We've all got a story.
Yes, we all do have stories. So a little bit of her claim to fame is that she predicted the Kursk nuclear submarine disaster that happened in August of 1999. Well, actually, she predicted that in 99, and it happened in August of 2000. She also predicted the rise of the terror group ISIS, the Syrian gas attack, Brexit. She claimed that the 44th president would be black. Vladimir Putin would win the 2018 elections, and I'm not sure about number 7 here. It says World War III. Shortly before death, the elderly woman said Russia will not only survive, it will dominate the world.
I'm telling you, they're going to war and they're not going to stop, man. You need to hear me when I warn everyone that they want to take over the world.
So her predictions are quite weird. Did you want to say anything about Baba Vanga before we get going, or do you have something?
I mean, the one thing I would say is with hers, the one that I consider to be a true potential threat. And first of all, like where you look at her timeline, she wasn't predicting hundreds of years into the future. It wasn't something vast. So it's remotely calculated based on basic knowledge. The thing is, though, unlike the rest of us, she doesn't have the internet. She didn't have the resources to find out about these things. So her predictions were pretty outlandish, if you will, based on where'd she get this information to know that even Putin was in office, or that there was going to be Putin being, going to another election. But the one thing of hers that I heard and that I do consider a real threat is just like Russia. People underestimate it. So a couple of years ago when Noah and I were in high school, we did this Model United Nations thing, and I got to be Russia at one point in time, and I also got to be the Ukraine at one point in time. And with this, you get to do a little bit of research to understand the history of these nations. And man, if there is any country in this world that scares me, it is Russia. And the only time I've ever felt safe, the only few times I've ever felt safe in my life with Russia come down to when Ronald Reagan took presidency. And, if you don't know this, Iran was holding several of our statesmen prisoner for, I think it was 440 days. It was a year and a third, basically. And the day Reagan was elected, they knew he wouldn't put up with it, and they released all of the prisoners that they were holding. And this is the guy who coined the phrase "trust but verify." This is the guy who possibly ended the Cold War. Some people call him a puppet. Regardless, he possibly ended the Cold War. And through time, Russia has rebuilt some of these strengths. Trump was the next time I actually felt safe I think he had real talks with Putin. I don't think they were these, I'm going to go visit the Pope, crap myself, and pray type of talks. They were, let's be real. We don't.
That was
this.
Biden pooping his pants with the Pope. Come on.
Just saying.
All right. Did you have anything?
But that's just my real threat.
I think in general, like, why do all of these prophets always have to predict the end of the world or the end of civilization? Like, why can't they, predict something kind of positive for once? Like, oh, wow, everyone's going to wake up one day and be really rich and happy and beautiful,
It wouldn't be cool if it wasn't apocalyptic.
I guess so.
So, here's some of her predictions for 2022. A lethal virus will be discovered in a glacier, and the glaciers are melting due to global warming. So, and there's been some where they've done some those ice cores and stuff where they found there are some ancient viruses that are no longer in existence today, but as the glaciers are starting to melt and stuff, that could release a virus to us that could become more deadly. So I think there's a high probability for something like that.
That's a story that's been told in many books and movies. It's real because it's science.
Yeah, exactly. The next one I think you might find interesting as well is alien ships will attack the Earth.
Now, that's this year, ladies and gentlemen. Noah and I have been talking about this as long as we lived.
I think that one sounds the most interesting out of everything, because I think it would finally be nice to be like, oh wow, the end of the world isn't really our fault. It is something else's fault. I think that would be the most fun too,
That's we didn't just crap it away.
And here's the other really interesting thing. If you start paying attention, the governments around the world have started to release more and more information about UFOs and stuff.
They literally came out a couple years ago and said, we're using alien DNA. Nobody will remember this. It's all cool.
Yeah, using alien technology, alien DNA. And so I think, and they've been kind of releasing more and more there's aliens out there. So I think that kind of shows a high probability as well.
Maybe not 2022. I feel like the aliens don't want anything to do with us right now because we're already dealing with so much stuff. But maybe next year, once we got
those people
all this stuff figured out,
they're too fucked up right now.
Let's just watch them dismantle each other and then blow them up.
So here's another interesting one. A colony on Mars will enable the planet to become a nuclear power and demand independence from Earth around 2170 and 2256. So they're going to colonize Mars this year.
Hold on. Here's the struggle. There's nothing to break away from Earth if the Earth ended in 2022.
It's not saying the Earth is going to end in 2022. They're just saying
we're just being invaded.
Yes.
So, but we win.
Doesn't say we win either.
We survive.
Maybe Elon Musk dips out,
There's a chance.
And I think this one's kind of interesting because there are people like Laura Eisenhower, Corey Good, and some other people in the whole UFO community that believe that there's already colonization happening on Mars. So I think that's kind of an interesting one. So maybe this one here, may not carry water as we are starting to colonize it, but maybe it might be released that we've already started to colonize it a while ago.
I think Elon Musk sent the first ship there 2 years ago.
Possibly, but maybe not. I mean,
the SpaceX rocket that disappeared through a wormhole.
Could be. This one I think is also very likely. Severe famine.
I think that's what all three of these topics have in common is that they're all predicting a severe famine.
I think that's a really good thing to bring up, though, is where's the positive? Why can't they bring hey, Noah's happy on February 22nd, 2022, because there's a lot of twos in that day and year.
She also predicted in 2022 there are virtual realities in which we can get completely lost.
So yes.
Oh man, like the metaverse.
Yeah, the metaverse that some bozo, as Noah shared with me and educated me on, just spent $650,000 on a fake yacht. Okay, bro.
Yeah.
No.
It was 150 ether that he used to buy it or something. It was something crazy like that.
Dude. $650,000 for a fake yacht.
And the funny part is earlier. It was like probably what 3-4 days before that.
We were talking about.
Yeah, you're talking about like how does someone buy like fake Nikes?
Why is someone spending $650 on a pair of fake Nikes that are limited edition on the metaverse? And Noah's like, things just escalated.
But I think here's a really impressive part though. As you were mentioning, where she's located, she's like in Bosnia. She has like no computers. Actually, she has like no electricity or whatever. Like when you look at like the area that she lives in, it's kind of like those like old like Adobe type clay buildings and stuff where she doesn't come from a very good area. So there's no way she has any of this information at her hands to know about it. Really.
She's an American Indian transported to another country.
Did anything in your research? Did you pull up anything on her?
Nothing more interesting than what you've said.
Okay. All right. So let's see what else that she has here. Number 6. Vanga has made a bizarre claim that a dragon will take over the planet.
Now, I actually don't think that is necessarily wrong.
Okay.
Just saying, like, could be the aliens. Dude, we know the aliens are coming, whether it's this year or another year, and most likely they're not going to be some meek, weak humanoid figure.
So I think this kind of goes back to maybe China, because they're saying here that some of the interpreters here have presumed that the dragon means China. Since
So I was thinking the dragon might mean like the lizard people.
that could
We're
be-
already seeing like Mark Zuckerberg doing some weird stuff lately. So
That's absolutely true, but
Yeah.
let's think back to our episode about predators versus aliens. If something's going to come over, it's going to look like a predator or an alien is going to take us over. If there is an incursion, an invasion, we're doomed by that race. Either of those races would dominate us. We're not ready for it.
No, we're not. Definitely not. All right. So that's so we went through Nostradamus, Baba Vanga. Anything we want to say about those two?
No, it just I think Casey brought up a good point. Why is it always doom and gloom? Where's the happy day? Like
I don't know.
man.
I mean, talking about more doom and gloom, the MIT computer.
Noah has the best day of his life. May 12th, 2022.
The MIT computer predicted that the world would totally collapse and pretty much end for humankind in 2040.
and then didn't it also predict that pretty much the peak of humanity was going to be around like 2020?
Something like that.
Oh man.
So it failed.
It failed.
Because, dude, that was not a good year for us. Actually, 2020 wasn't that bad. It was 2021, which is... No, I take that back. It was the end of 2020, November 2020, wasn't it?
Sure. So I did add one more here, which I did not really like give to
Share.
you guys or share with you guys
So
about
right, you're
the
sharing your scotch.
yes. But I think one of the best predictors of the future and kind of an interesting one, maybe a fun one.
I know where this is. It's a book that talks about time travel.
No, I'm not going to go there.
What?
I'm going to go with The Simpsons.
Okay, I was actually waiting for like an opportune time to bring that up. Stealing my thunder. Okay.
All right, so let's talk about The Simpsons and predicting the future then. What do you got?
I mean, I was just going to kind of bring up the topic in general. Like, how different is this computer, or like these other prophets, quote unquote, to like something kind of coincidental like The Simpsons? I think for me personally, the most telling thing about especially this computer that predicted the end of the world is that the computers can barely tell us what the weather is going to be tomorrow. So I don't know, like 24 hours versus 24 years, not too sure how I feel about that. But then I guess if you're not in the loop, The Simpsons has like predicted multiple events, mostly like I guess celebrity deaths. I think there was one kind of controversial clip about 9/11 with like big cloud of smoke over with like the Twin Towers. Am I missing anything?
They predicted President Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, they predicted Trump, Higgins boson, the God particle, FaceTime and video calls. They predicted that. Lady Gaga at halftime for Super Bowl. But some of the things that they have for this coming year, for 2022, are apparently virtual reality food. Which, I mean, if people are paying $650,000 for yachts, I don't see why you wouldn't have virtual reality food.
Dude, this tastes so good.
And here's a really cool. Here's one that's really interesting too, because it coincides with Baba Vanga colonizing Mars is number 2 on the list.
Well, we know that's ideally going to be what's happened, but it's also, again, not new. It's been in dozens of movies. My most favorite would probably be, oh man, this is tough. Matt Damon did a nice job. Val Kilmer did a nice job, but Arnold Schwarzenegger did the best. Let's face it.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Sorry, you probably don't know what I'm
movie
talking.
references.
Yes.
Talking about like, hey, look, I got a kid coming out of my gut.
Anyways, I think that one's interesting because they predicted it and Baba Vanga predicted it. So, but they're saying like, I don't think it's unrealistic as going down in the future, like further along. But for 2022, it seems kind of, we're living in 2022, and right now we can barely get ourselves out the door without wearing a diaper on our face.
Right.
That's not true. I can get out this door any day without a diaper on my face. It's getting in another door.
And we got, and the guy who's leading supposedly the free world is not all there.
I will
Anyways.
only get myself in trouble.
Another one of their predictions here for 2022 is Ivanka Trump is going to become a presidential candidate.
Hell yeah.
And there's going to be the takeover of the world by robots. Mind controlled, induced by music, which doesn't seem like
That's already real.
that's what he wrote, like MK Ultra. And that's it. That's what their Simpsons got for 2022.
So let's go back to this computer.
Yeah.
The only thing they've really shared is that they predicted the world would be over and in 2040.
Yeah, but it predicted some other things like the Arab Spring, but I think that one was the Nautilus computer out of Illinois. But anyways, I think you had done some research on the computer, right?
Well, my whole struggle was they didn't upgrade, but never that I saw released any additional information about what changed once they did the upgrade. Is that because it all changed? Because they're like, shoot, virtual reality is different now.
I don't know that, but I did see some other research where like they've had like computer AI predicting like major events going all the way back from 1973, like with those like old IBM where they have like the big huge tape things going that you see in those old movies, where it takes like a huge room to equal like a normal PC today.
See, I think for me, the real struggle is if you believe something bad enough or good enough, it might come true, right?
Yeah, Mike.
So with all of this negative information, Nostradamus, Baba Vanga, supercomputers telling us this is the end, is that artificial intelligence already knowing that by convincing us that's the end, we'll end ourselves? I think that's more likely than anything. And so there you have me. Stop believing it, man. Start believing in the good. Why aren't these computers telling you about your best day? Why are they only going to tell you about your worst, your last?
Because death sells.
Yeah, exactly. Drama sells. People want to see this stuff. They're like, no, get over here. Like, stab yourself. Blood's everywhere. All of a sudden, 12,000 views. Before, we're like, I'm having the best day of my life. 2 views.
All right, what do you have for us? Seems like you want to jump in. So jump in.
I don't know. I was just going to say, like, overall, I think life is kind of more fun if you kind of believe these kinds of theories about the end of the world. Just because, I don't know, one day maybe you'll be right. And then you won't be like the crazy person just rambling on YouTube. You'll like actually be right and be a prophet. Like, I think that's kind of fun. And then just in general, like, I think it's easier to like rationalize these more negative approaches to it versus like the, oh, exactly, March 14th, Noah's gonna have a great, fantastic day. Like,
You're going to meet the girl of your dreams.
I highly doubt that. That's a Pisces season.
I didn't say she was a Pisces. It's just in Pisces season.
Yeah, it's in Pisces season. That's why I doubt it. That's water season.
You think you're a fire sign. We need to do some more research.
I am a fire sign.
You are a fire sign, but are you a fire sign?
Anyways, sorry, didn't mean that.
I don't know. Like, that's kind of just overall, like, I think it is more fun to actually believe in these things. I think it kind of opens up the question, like, is it just that it is big enough that we can relate to it to our real life? Is there actually truth to it? Or probably, you know, they're all time travelers and they can't just explicitly tell us what's going to happen because that's going to cause some sort of weird like space-time continuum rip. And so they just kind of have to feed it to us like very vaguely.
So I think that's a good question right there. I'm not sure if they're really time travelers so much, but apparently, like if we go back to one of our older episodes talking about the Akashic records, people who are able to access those records, they are able to see things that happen in the future.
Is that the episode with the Sphinx?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, with the Care Bears
running around.
Yes, that is that episode.
Okay.
But yeah, so apparently, like people who can gain access to the Akashic records, they see visions, but it's not always super clear. So that's probably why it comes out kind of vague, and then it's left for interpretation by other people. Anyways.
No, man. I mean, I actually don't always think like, you should run with that topic. This one I did think you should run with. For me, it's more about how much of this I don't fall victim to, if you will, or fall prey to, how much I don't believe. What we didn't go over is the number of times they've been wrong in the last decade, but we are going over the different possibilities. Now, some of these things I think are real. I think the worry of an asteroid or a comet should be real. If it's not, you should recheck your like alignment with history. It's that simple. It's science. Science is that simple, but we want to believe all these terrible things so that you wake up the next day and you were wrong.
I think it's easier maybe to believe some of these things and like there'll be world peace.
Well, that's because we have so much internal conflict. We can't even find peace with ourselves most of the time. How do you find peace with Russia? You're not going to.
Exactly. I think that's why it's easier to believe in like natural disasters or all these weird things.
In case you brought that point up, like where's their good? Why didn't one of them bring out something good?
I definitely think the world is ending. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Even without, I guess, doing the research on these different topics, I'm not 100% sure if it was like something that was falling into line, or if there was like one event that I guess served as like the catalyst, and maybe that one event could have been predicted. But I definitely think the world's ending right now.
Okay.
I think death happens. I think that's the truth that you can't escape. So predicting it's easy. I'm going to die.
I don't think I would say like that the world is ending, but I think there might be, they have what's called like generational changes. I
guess like modern society as we know it is kind of like fading down.
So there's been talk about like how we're moving into like a new level of consciousness. So there's a change in that kind of reality. But then there's also what's called, it's the fourth something generational change or something. So there's already been the first, the second, and the third, and now we're in the fourth turn. So that could be like a sense of why people get this feeling of like things are ending. I forget what the actual term is, but I'm sure as soon as we get off of here, I could like look it up and find it really quickly.
Look it up right now, man.
I'll try to. I think it's called fourth generational something or other.
Casey, anything you want to start to wind down this topic with? I mean, you did mention the doom and gloom, the changes.
I mean, I guess overall, whether or not you do believe in these kinds of topics, I think it is important that at the end of the day, you really do only have yourself and what you personally believe and what you personally know. And it is very, very easy to fall down these rabbit holes of trying to predict the end of the world or trying to predict the next like massive war or massive life-changing event. But I guess it really is all theories at the end of the day, and you really do just have to stay true to what you know and what you do believe, and kind of, I guess you can let that guide you and not base your everyday decisions on what could probably just be like some random person, some weird nutcase.
So it's called the fourth turning is what it's called.
All right.
And it's supposed to last until 2030.
So we've got another 8 years that none of us are going to die. Here are a couple things to consider for me, if you will, about talking about any of these things. And again, the alien one is the biggest one. For the second venture here with the Baba Vanga is we have hopes someday, knowing that the Earth will die, that we would colonize another planet. How can you not for 1 second then realize there are other species out there in this vast universe and galaxy, this unimaginable size of planets and suns and moons that would be doing the exact same thing? And if it is a species so vastly different than your own, would you not risk war for your own species survival to end theirs? This is all real. Aliens versus predators, any of these number of things. So don't be ignorant to that possibility.
As far as the whole alien thing, I got one movie, Contact.
Dude.
I love that movie.
Contact. I remember that show as a kid.
3, 2, 1, Contact. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Contact with Matthew McConaughey.
I was saying for him, I was way too young to remember.
Did you?
I know what you're talking about. It's a great film.
I think it really it makes you look at faith, and it makes you look at science, and I think there's a lot of interesting things there in that movie.
All right.
In any case, I think I agree with both of you as far as like these predictions are vague enough to where people can get anything they really kind of truly want to get out of them. And I think it's a shame, like a lot of it all has to do with like apocalyptic or negative connotations. But I think it's a lot easier to sell and a lot more stylish to do that. Because I think people just naturally have a hard time believing like, oh, we'll have world peace and everything will be good.
That's because it's not real. There will always be
some kind of conflict.
You know, I can't remember who originally said it, but they talk about how tough times build tough men, and tough men build weak times, and weak times build weak men, and weak men build tough times. And this is a tragic cycle that is just real. There will always be a need for conflict because it's the only way we improve and eventually grow and gain.
Yeah, good times builds weak people, and then weak people build tough times. Right. And I think right now we're in that weak people build tough times cycle.
I mean, wait, never mind. Not talking about the president once again.
All right. Anything else that anybody wants to say about the topic before we move on?
Like I said, when you mentioned this topic, I was excited, and I think it's a great topic that we're going to continue to build on in our future. So don't forget about this, because this will be something, not necessarily these exact topics, but the premise of the topics and the purpose of the topics. The purpose of the topics will continue to build in future episodes. I'm super excited about that. Good choice, Noah.
Thank you.
Great choice, by the way, for the Scotch. It continues to get
crappy choice for the restaurant, though.
That doesn't even matter. That doesn't even matter. It's the finish. It's how did you end the night? And this is
good.
Dude, this is so good. I understand why M's drinking a sherry cask Scotch as a James Bond. I mean, she's running the British world.
All right. Anything?
Not really.
Really? All right. So
don't drink and drive.
Yes, don't drink and drive.
Please, no, and this is real. Like, please don't drink and drive. You know, we say it, I think, almost every show. We intend to say it every show, and we take it very seriously. We may make some silly jokes, but please don't drink and drive.
All right. With that being stated,
life is great.
Life is great. What is the next week's Smarter Challenge?
All right. I'm super excited about this. So next week, building upon moral codes or codes in general. Last week we talked about the Punisher, and we talked about some of the things that created this man, this code. Was it because of the events with the death of his wife and kids, or was it already the man? As we move forward, next week's Smarter Challenge is to watch The Usual Suspects and Suicide Kings, and then look
both of them.
Yeah, dude, and a comparison. So you're talking about 4 hours and then a little bit of thought, dude. I looked for all of this research Noah pulled out of his rabbit hat, if you will, and I struggled for a lot more than 4 hours to find nothing of substance, nothing that I'm like, man, this is something I have to talk about. The pieces you brought in, I love, and with that though, The Usual Suspects. So we're talking about Kevin Spacey, Kaiser Sose, his code, and then Suicide Kings. And we're going to talk about Christopher Walken, who plays Charles Barrett, and his code. And really looking at the code of a man or a woman, a code of an individual, and what is it like to live by that code, and who ultimately has, if there is a difference, a stronger code in those two as a comparison. The Scotch, Brian, if you're watching and you want to be part of this, is the Glenfiddich 14. Casey, if you want to rejoin us, you are also welcome. Glenfiddich 14. Brian, we know
Well, I want to join.
Noah, if you're not here, the show doesn't happen, man. Like, that's... Dude, the show's a little late this week. Why? Because Noah wasn't here on Tuesday. It doesn't happen without you. So Noah is assumed he will already be here drinking the other half of this Glenfiddich 14. If anyone else shows up, then it'll be a third.
All right. Real quickly, anything you guys want to say to the people out there
Please,
as we wrap up?
Please continue to give feedback, like, share, subscribe, become a patron member. We still have hopes that someday Top Gun will come out in the theaters and we're going to do a theater rental and enjoy that experience. But otherwise, please don't drink and drive again. Our safety public message, which is real, not just a message. And then the other thing for the restaurant review next week, man, we're going to the Platte River Bar and Grill.
Okay.
Ooh, that's the one right across from ACC, right?
That is exactly right across from ACC.
I love that place.
See?
What's ACC?
Arapahoe Community.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I haven't been there in, I want to say, over...
Last time I ever went to anything that had something with the Platte in there was that coffee shop, Paris on the Platte. That's closed down, I think, a couple of years ago.
Probably, but this place I haven't been to in a long time, but it was always a good experience. So if you just want to join for the restaurant review, Casey, you're always welcome to join for that too. So that is the restaurant/bar and grill I want to review.
All right. Any things you want to say to the people watching?
I mean, I guess like the moral of the episode is keep your mind open and don't be afraid to explore new topics.
All right. Good. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Please leave comments down below. Let us know what you think about Baba Vanga or the, as we've been joking around, Nosferatu, but Nostradamus and the Simpsons or any of these kind of predictions. Anything that you guys think you find is interesting. If you're watching us, that probably means that you're on YouTube or Rumble. If you're listening to us, then obviously you're on Podbean or Spotify or one of the other many options that we have for audio. I do want to thank you all. I thank all of you for watching. I want to give another special thanks to you for coming on the show. I greatly appreciate that. It's nice to always have a third person on here. And with that, I wish all of you a wonderful night. Cheers.
All right. Cheers. Life is great.
Life is great.
Mine's empty. I think we gotta reach
Wait,
yours.
dude, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, okay.
Yeah, man, we're going there.
I'm still going to take a sip from the first one.
Yeah, me too.
Oh.
That is a damn smooth scotch. It's better than I remember from ages ago.
Oh, gotta get that squeak in there.
Hell yeah. All right. Life is great.
Life
Cheers.
is great. Cheers. We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a patron member with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.